The first time she said no one wanted to date her, the room felt smaller, as if the walls leaned in to hear the confession. It was late evening, rain tapping softly against the windows, the kind of rain that makes everything sound honest. The lights were low, and exhaustion hung in the air like dust after a long day. She looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep, the kind of tired that settles into the bones after years of explaining yourself. When she lifted her shirt, it wasn't dramatic or seductive, it was careful, almost apologetic, revealing a map of scars that told a story she had been carrying alone for far too long. In that moment, the world seemed to pause, and I understood that this was not about dating at all, but about whether someone would stay when the truth was fully visible. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of staying when it's easier to leave, take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel, The Kindness Chronicles. Your support keeps stories like this alive. She had come into my life quietly, the way some people do, without an announcement or a plan. We worked in the same building but in different departments, exchanging polite nods for months before circumstances forced us into the same small project. She was efficient, thoughtful, and had a dry sense of humor that surfaced only when she felt safe. Over time, I noticed the way she avoided mirrors, how she flinched slightly when conversations drifted toward relationships, how she laughed a second too late at jokes about love. There was a gentleness to her that felt practiced, as if she had learned early on that softness was easier to give than to receive. The scars she showed that night were the result of a long illness she rarely spoke about, years of surgeries and hospital rooms that smelled of disinfectant and fear. Each line across her skin represented pain endured quietly. Moments when her body had betrayed her and strangers had decided what would be taken and what might be saved. She had survived, but survival came with a price. People saw the scars before they saw her smile, judged the story before reading the heart behind it. Dates ended politely and never resumed. Compliments were followed by silence. She learned to expect absence. Her greatest challenge was not the physical pain that occasionally returned like a ghost, but the belief that she was asking too much simply by existing. She struggled with the idea that love was conditional, something offered only to the unbroken, the uncomplicated. Every rejection reinforced a quiet voice inside her that said staying would always be temporary. She tried to make herself smaller, easier, less noticeable, thinking that if she took up less space, the hurt would hurt less. But loneliness has a way of growing when it's fed that way. I didn't reply with a speech or a promise. I stayed. I sat there as the rain softened outside and the room breathed again. Staying, I learned, is an action, not a sentence. Over the following weeks, nothing magical happened. There were awkward mornings, moments of doubt, long silences filled with old fears. She tested the ground constantly, waiting for it to give way. Every time she expected me to pull back, I leaned in with patience, with normalcy, with the quiet respect of treating her scars as facts, not flaws. Slowly, things began to change in ways that were almost invisible at first. She started meeting my eyes when she spoke. Her laughter came easier, fuller. She stopped apologizing for things that didn't need forgiveness. We took long walks where the city lights blurred into something soft and forgiving, and she talked about dreams she had packed away during hospital stays, dreams she assumed were no longer allowed. I listened, not as someone rescuing her, but as someone discovering her. The suspense wasn't in whether love would appear suddenly, but in whether she would let herself believe it could stay. There were nights when old memories surfaced and she withdrew, convinced she had revealed too much. Those were the nights that mattered most. Consistency became the language of care. Showing up again and again rewrote the stories she had been told by silence. In time, her scars became just another part of the landscape, like roads on a map that show where you've been, not where you're stuck. She began to wear clothes she liked, not clothes meant to hide. She spoke openly about her past, not with shame, but with ownership. The woman who once believed no one would choose her started choosing herself, and that was the most beautiful transformation of all. By the end, this was no longer a story about dating or staying out of obligation. It was about what happens when someone is seen fully and not reduced to their damage. It was about the courage it takes to lift your shirt, metaphorically or otherwise, and say this is me, and the equal courage it takes for someone else to say I'm not going anywhere and mean it with their actions. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone who needed patience or of a moment when staying changed everything, please take a second to like the video, share it, and subscribe to The Kindness Chronicles. Your engagement helps these stories reach the people who need them most. Before you go, leave a comment below and tell us what kindness means to you, or share a moment when someone stayed and it changed your life. Your words might be the hope someone else is searching for right